You certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk. Okay, that's... Actually, yeah! That's actually a perfect fit. That's actually kind of interesting. If you think about it, everybody had to do something at least once to figure out, hey, this is edible. So yeah, somebody eventually had to figure out that cows give milk by sucking on its udder. Somebody eventually did figure that out, and it was yeah, pretty much everybody discovered things by trial and error and realized, hey, this thing doesn't kill us. Let's eat it. Let's eat it for sustenance. Yeah, it took a lot of trial and error to figure things out. It's just a strange thing to me. I just notice things when we're grocery shopping or stuff like that, and I'm like, you know, at one point somebody had to figure out that this was edible, and it's just one of those interesting things. Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. So in the last episode of Rise from the Ashes, we found out that Jake Marshall did break into the evidence room, but as it turns out, he's not so much guilty of murder as it is fraud, as he pretended to be somebody he wasn't. He broke in, he had an altercation, and then left after getting what he wanted. So he basically committed theft and fraud. That's basically what he's guilty of, but he isn't guilty of murder. We established that he isn't exactly guilty of murder, but there was in fact a murder that took place because there was a handprint there that shouldn't have been there, and then also we found out that the prosecution team may have forged some evidence to put Joe Dark away. That's just all that happened in the last episode. That's just a standard thing of Phoenix Wright, really. It's just very confusing. Nobody understands what the hell is going on, and it's up to us to piece it together. So, let's get in with the Day 3 investigation. So, shall we? Let's do that. Okay. Let's move on. February 24th, 3:12 p.m. Wright & Co. Law Offices. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. Yeah, I remember that. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lena wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did he have to do with the killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Okay, so that's a little alarming. Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was the only trying to save me. So that means you... Yes. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. Okay. Alright, well that's a little dark. Let's talk about the SL9 incident. It happened 2 years ago. It was right around this time of year too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day. Unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seems he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage. But before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. A permanent picture? I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lena forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Well, that would explain his reaction. It really would. Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true. Even though he may not have known it, Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. So that's where the rumors started. He never actually forged evidence, but he used forged evidence in the case, and it wasn't actually his fault. That would explain where all the rumors came from. After that case ended, Lena was never the same. She became cold like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. What about that permanent picture you said? What did you see in the instant that crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Leda was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma. You've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago, you must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies, and find the evidence to make the airtight case. That way, Lena would never have to forge any. I see. Well, okay, so that makes sense. You want to become an investigator to be able to help your sister so that she doesn't wind up using faulty evidence. That makes perfect sense, actually. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. Something puzzling. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lena's office at that time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Huh. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course. This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective's office and the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator. But Lena was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lena was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. Okay, so she wasn't a prosecutor to begin with. She used to be a detective. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Okay, that makes sense. Lena used to be a detective? I'd better have another talk with her. Alright, where can I move to? Underground parking lot. Let's start with the detention center, see if there's anybody in here. February 24th, detention center. Visitor's room. Hi! Lena! Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul. Why should we? But Lena, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lena, Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago? And how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have the right to know, Mr. Wright. Okay. Talk! Today's trial. A lot of revelations were uncovered at that trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Okay, I'm itchy today. I don't know why. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial. It really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lena. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Figuratively, of course, right? Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15, there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lena. What the witness, Miss Starr, said. About you starving Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lena, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lena look so fazed before. Detective Lane, it's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. Alright. She was amazing. We still talk about the case she and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? He was the deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked the crime scenes. Damon Gant. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Emma really idolizes her big sister. I'm not surprised, really. But you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you could use that experience in court, right? Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, I became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. What about the investigation? 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means the investigation lead was Damon Gant, right? Yes, Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office at the same investigation. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Huh. Without a doubt, Dojark was a serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages and Dark must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down and then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lena? It appears so. I was filing some papers when Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Dark. That's unusual. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Okay. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her after all her sister must have gone through. Okay, that's interesting. So somebody knocks Joe Dark in the back of the head. And possibly Marshall, but that seems a little fishy, since Marshall was attacked from in front. Is that what the vase was? Somebody hit Dark with the vase, and then he went down? Is that why there's a piece? Is that why it's evidence and why there's a piece missing? That would make sense. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident, just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I shared. The office that Mr. Gant now occupies by himself, the Chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the Chief's office, the site of the final SL9 incident murder. Okay. Let's move! Okay. February 24th, Police Station Criminal Affairs Department. I don't see Detective Gumshoe anywhere. Things seem kind of quiet around here today. You're right. The chief of detectives seems the same, though. Why don't we go look for some other people to talk to? Right. We can come back here later. Police Department entrance. Alright. Alright, February 24th, Police Department entrance. There's Marshall. Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall! I never thought things would turn out this way when I woke up this morning. Okay, Sarah. You never know when life leads you, eh, Bambina? I sure know my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go into the evidence room today, partner. That's fine, I don't need to go in there. I don't think. But Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why did prospectors head west? If ever there was a case that needed to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Can I talk to you? What about the Dark trial? Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean, fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean that switchblade knife with a broken tip? That was Joe Dark's, alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question? The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there is a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. Okay, that's interesting. However, in the report that was finally submitted, the possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence? Possibly. In the case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SL9 incident left behind. Prosecutor Marshall. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I had just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together. How old was he? Your brother. He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You mean the King of Prosecutors? I knew it. What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. That day the SL9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right. It was the day of the evidence transfer. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was thunder. I can't believe 2 years have gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. Scars. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired, and I was demoted and boxed away in the tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gant and Lena Skye. Gant and Skye. The investigation lead, Damon Gant, and his second-in-command, Lena Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lena transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah, Damon Gant, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is too well guarded. I never found out. Lena's secret. It all started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? A little bit. It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict. But someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I wouldn't even be a patrolman after today. Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. And then we never saw him again, which is sad. Oh, and we triggered a thing. February 24th, Police Station, Criminal Affairs Department. This place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted. That must mean everyone's busy solving crimes. Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Thanks. Wow, he actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying what she did and the decision about what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media in tomorrow's trial, there's more chaos going on there than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Just use the connecting hallway to the other building and take the elevator to the top floor. Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office. Okay, that was funny. Alright, well, this is our... Now we can actually go in the chief's office and... Oh, it's fancy in here. February 24th, Police Department, Chief's Office. I mean, it does match the guy who owns the office, so I guess it can't be too surprised. It's big in here. Whoa, where am I? It's almost like a chapel in here. I don't blame his, I don't blame your confusion, Phoenix. In the chief's office, silly. At least that's what it said on the door. Check out that pipe organ. That's real, isn't it? Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Bach. I thought I was a genius until they tried teaching me notes. I never could remember where C was. Hmm? Hi! Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant! He put that paper he was reading on his desk. Oh, so, Righto, have you been swimming lately? No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full too with Mr. Marshall's misconduct. And Leia's provocative statement. Provocative statement? Oh, you mean about the forged evidence? Yeah, what else would he be talking about? 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? That's a picture of Lena, Neil, and me. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Wait, is that the vase? That's the vase for my evidence thing. I just realized that's the vase, that vase in the background between Lena and Neil. That's the vase. That's the vase that was in the evidence room. The one I pieced together. The one that's missing a piece. The one that doesn't stand upright. Okay, but anyway. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Okay, so that's where the vase came from. It came from this room. We took it to commemorate our work together. Something's not right with this picture. I can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though. I can. Gant's team picture added to the court record. I know there's evidence now. It looks like a chapel in here. You want to explain? Anyway, I like to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm going to lock up here, so let's go out together. Oh. But this office. It was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case has been long since been over. There's no need to investigate it anymore. All the same, I'd still like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. Looks like we aren't welcome. It seems that case isn't over with yet, after all. What do you mean? Chief Gant denied our request to search the crime scene. That means there must be a reason he doesn't want us looking around in there. You mean like a clue? There's gotta be a way we can get inside the chief's office. Okay, well we got a conspiracy theory. Can I go to the parking lot and see what happens here? February 24th, prosecutor's office, underground parking lot. No one's here today. Not even Miss Starr. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. Probably. That must be where the detectives are. But we proved in court today that on the day of the crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15 p.m. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. But instead it looks like we just ended up making Lena look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lena. I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow. Yeah. This is why it's the longest case. Examine. Slide. Okay. Can I go to the High Prosecutor's office? I can. Okay, let's go to the High Prosecutor's office and see if anything happens. We know it's Edgeworth's room. I'm assuming he's busy, so I'm assuming he's not in here. February 24th, High Prosecutor's office, room 1202. Mr. Edgeworth isn't here. Maybe he's being questioned by an inquiry committee. He took a real beating in court today. Yeah, with Lena admitting to falsifying evidence 2 years ago. I guess we'll just have to come back later. Alright, well that doesn't help me. Move. That's not what I need. Criminal Affairs Department. Okay, we're getting another prompt. February 24th, Police Station, Criminal Affairs Department. Hey, pal. Detective Gumshoe, aren't you supposed to be in a meeting? I'm, just taking a breather. My feet hurt. From sitting so long? Actually, from serving everyone coffee. Sounds like Detective Gumshoe's still out of the loop. Say, have either of you seen Mr. Edgeworth? He's probably being interrogated. Most likely. Edgeworth? No, why would you ask? He's under fire from both the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battles between you two in court. That sounds serious. Is it because of what my sister said? Probably. That's basically what it was all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood. Yikes. Can we... Okay, can we chat? Can we have a bit of a chat? But why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Well, this guy was the guilty party here, isn't she? No offense. Sorry. Regardless, prosecutor is responsible for the evidence they present in court. Fair enough. Not only that, but as you know, there have been a lot of rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. Yeah, about all the falsified evidence that he supposedly puts into his trials. His amazing talents as a prosecutor kept him safe from those who don't like him. But now, with this, are there really so many people who hate him? I wouldn't be surprised. He is, and was for a long time, a bit of an asshole. I wouldn't be surprised if he's made many enemies in his time as a prosecutor. In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only has that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know for making enemies. Hey, Dick, keep up the good work. Yes, sir. Let's get out of here for lunch again sometime. My treat. Yes, sir. You ought to take me back to the joint sometime, okay, Dick? Yes, sir. It seems you don't have any problems with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. What about the incident? The SL9 incident? Do you know anything about that? Actually, I took a look at the file earlier while the coffee was brewing. He seems genuinely concerned for Edgeworth. Well, did you find out anything? The only evidence Stark left behind during his final attack. His final attack? You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall, who was trying to protect some girl? Me. It seems Detective Gumshoe never realized Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. Well, what was it? Oh, let's see. I think it had something to do with the murder weapon. Oh, I forget. Look, it's all written somewhere in here, okay? His powers of recollection never fail to impress. No, they do not. Maybe we shouldn't show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory. Okay, Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your run-of-the-mill businessman. Okay, so what happened? Why did he turn to a life of crime? A businessman? What? Yeah, what made him take the serial killing? Exactly my point. One day on his way home from work, he hit somebody with his car. And that turned him into a serial killer. How? With his car. So, it was an accident? At first, apparently. An accident, yes, but it transformed into an animal. An animal? He killed the man that witnessed the accident. Then he killed the lady who saw the second crime. A kid walked by, and a jogger came up. The scene was killed as well. Finally, he turned himself in. Seems he was a pretty careless animal. Of course, that was all conjecture. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. So he turned himself in. Yes, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim. Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but luckily Dark was arrested on the spot. It's a good thing that last witness wasn't killed. That last witness. AKA Emma. Alright, I have a court record here for you. Would you like to see the knife? Would you like to see the knife, Mr. Gumshoe, sir? Here's the knife. Shh. Alright, I can't, I have to, okay, I have to go into present and then do it that way. I always forget I have to do it that way. Presents! I'm about this. Hey, is that? It has a tag attached to it with the label SL9 incident on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of? What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, that knife's been locked away in a locker. On the day Detective Goodman was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker. And was found in Mr. Edgeworth's car muffler. That's it. Now I remember what the incriminating piece of evidence was. When you showed me that knife, it all came back to me. Okay, well, we jogged his memory. Well, what is it, Detective? Quick, before you forget again. What is it? This knife. It was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. We traced it back to the store he bought it at, plus it had his fingerprints on it too. But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right? That's where his luck ran out. When you take a good look at the knife, You'll see it's broken. We noticed that. You don't have to take a good look to notice that. Yeah, well, anyway. Take a guess at where the broken off tip of the knife was found. That's what did him in. Where was it? The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it. Inside his own body. It was found deep inside the stab wound. Did it match Stark's knife? You bet. Down to the last fiber. That's pretty conclusive. Alright, Neil's autopsy report added to the court record. Switchblade knife updated in the court record. Well, there you have it, in a nutshell. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more thing? What is it? If it's money you need, you should ask Chief Gant. It's not money, but it does concern the chief. His office is a crime scene, right? It's where the prosecutor, Neil Marshall, was murdered. The chief's out now, and his office is locked. But we'd like to have a look around if that's okay. Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door. What? Really? But if I let a civilian in there, I'd be charged with breach of trust. Breach of trust? Simply put, I'd be canned. Okay, that's fair. Oh. Sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's. That won't work either. The data was deleted the day he died. Oh. Well, there goes our plan. So in other words, Gumshoe is our only chance of getting into that office. I wonder if there's something we can show him that would make him change his mind. I think I have an idea. Court record. Where's the knife? If we can determine that the knife is in fact not the knife used, let's check. Is the tip of the knife in here somewhere? Name of the deceased, Neil Marshall. Date and time of death, February 19th, between 7 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Cause of death, single stab wound, piercing his heart, lung. Died from blood loss in under 10 minutes. What was found with the missing tip? Okay. The broken tip was found in the victim's body, belonged to the murderer, Joe Jark. Okay. I don't know what I can show him that would prove. Well, we know this was the jar that was in Chief Gant's office. And it's broken and missing a piece. I've been studying up on those files. There's nothing wrong with Mr. Edgeworth's presentation. To think people are accusing him of injustice. I ain't one for buying it, pal. You're looking at this case for Mr. Edgeworth? Yeah, it was a pretty big deal when it was going on, you know. After all, a serial killer was on the loose. But Lena was pretty clear in her confession. She forged evidence in order to protect Joe Jark, to prove Joe Jark guilty. About that jar, I think I've seen it somewhere before. Somewhere? Or maybe it's all one of those memories people have from previous lives. This must be the most uninformative detective I've ever met. Something about it makes me feel uneasy. It's like I'm in the chief's office and he's yelling at me. Chief Gant? Where could I have seen that before? Ah! Alright, that doesn't... So interestingly, so interesting. That's the ID card record, isn't it? We still have an unknown piece of here. Yes, there's only one member left to investigate at 4:20 p.m. The victim, Detective Goodman, must have entered the evidence room along with someone else. Someone with an executive officer number. 777777777. That's 17 too many, Detective. An executive officer. I just might have a hunch. Okay, so it might be... So, I'm starting to get an idea, too. What if I can... Can I present this now? Can't believe Officer Marshall would do something like that. You know Officer Marshall? Of course I do. He was like a mentor to me. When I first started out, he even gave me a small cactus. Really? He said, Dick, she'll listen to all your troubles. Note to self, Detective Gumshoe talks to a cactus. Hard to believe he's just a patrolman now. Someone ought to trade places with him. What? Why are you looking at me like that? I can't talk to him about anything else. At least I don't think. There's not much else I can present. Also, there used to be a piece on this. There used to be another piece on this. There used to be a thing sticking through it. Oh, a lost item report, huh? Very impressive, Detective. You knew what it was right off the bat. Well, I am a master of misplacement, you know. Master? That has such a cool ring to it. The way I see it, if the things are meant to be lost, then they're meant to be lost. There's a higher power at work here. Wow, a higher power. Maybe I shouldn't let Emma hold any evidence. Okay, that's a good plan. Okay, I'm running out of ideas. Found this in Mr. Edgeworth's car. Stabbed with Mr. Edgeworth's knife, huh? What would drive Prosecutors Guy to do such a thing? Wait, I mean, sure, of course, someone else really did it. Someone who must have a grudge against Mr. Edgeworth. Huh. I'm not entirely sure what I need to do to move on this thing. The police department. Can I talk to the detention center? This doesn't help. That didn't help. So it's something. So it is something. It's something else. There's no way in the High Prosecutor's office I can... Oh, there is! February 24th, High Prosecutor's office. Room 1202. I wonder if Edgeworth is back yet. There he is! He looks like he's just writing something. What are you doing in here? I'm investigating. Hi. He sure was quick to throw that paper on the floor. Tough day in court, huh? I can get that. You're a little irritable. I had to live with the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you. That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. Yeah, he does that, doesn't he? So what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day. I want to talk to you. I want to have a chat with my favorite buddy. With my favorite prosecutor. There's no excuse for what I've done. Years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I can do can erase that fact. But you didn't know, did you? I meant, that evidence was falsified. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. Okay, that's fair. The police department's error is my error, my responsibility as the prosecutor in charge. That fact remains the same no matter what excuse I might have. Mr. Edgeworth. You don't be so hard on yourself, though, man. I mean, yeah, you had faulty evidence, but it's not your fault the evidence was faulty. It was somebody else's fault. I mean, sure, you used it, but you didn't know. Don't be so hard on yourself. I take part in my work. So tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Tomorrow's trial. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? Huh. First last year's trial, and now this one. It seems all you do is worry about me. Yeah. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. I can understand that. I'm very annoying. But Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out on the trial. Tomorrow's the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's what my superiors are banking on. I never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. Okay, so the list is a little short on evidence. That's important. It's only half as long as most lists? That's odd. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. Okay. Well, that's fair. We knew that. I may not have been part of the investigation, but I knew what I had to do. Use the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. That was really the only thing on my mind at the time. Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time. That picture. Something seems strange about it. Day of the crime. Can you tell us more about that? Can you tell us what happened that day? The day Detective Goodman was murdered? You were participating in a ceremony over at the station, right? I've never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this? Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on the ceremony. That's a fair point. You really can't skip out on those. I finished up at the office in the morning, and then drove over to the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes, just odds and ends. Clerical stuff. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. Ah. So what happened? That is, until I was asked to take something back. Take something back? This. Oh yeah! Chief Gant asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yes. It was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. What for, though? That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came in here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to? That's right. Okay. Court record. That was from a past case of Edwards, brought back to his office by Gant. I present this. Let's see what happens if I present the thing. Presents! This picture was hanging on the wall in Chief Gant's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He had just started making a name for himself. Looks like it was just taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes? The trophy Mr. Marshall is holding. It's a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. I remember now. Remember what? That was what the official prosecutor's trophy looked like until 2 years ago. There's a story behind its design. A story? Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on. Oh, sword and shield. Okay, I get it. Well, can you tell us more about the trophy? This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with 2 characters. The first meaning halberd and the second meaning shield. Have you heard the story? No, I have not. Me? Oh, sure. Everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it, though? For Emma's sake. Very well. And he doesn't even question it. Okay. Long ago in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day he presented the king with 2 items. The first was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claims could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute. Those claims contradict each other. Very perceptive. But then again, you've heard this story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very descriptions of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless. And thus the Chinese word for contradiction was born. Ah! So that's where the story came from. Oh, I see. So the chipped shield and broken knife symbolize... Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words, but it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion, even if it results in something as ugly as this. Wow, thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today. So did I! I didn't know that was a story. That's funny. If that's so, then why were you only given a shield? You'll have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the award abolished. Chief Gant? Huh. 2 years ago, the halberd was removed at Gant's behest, giving it its current form. That's interesting. Alright, well, I don't have any other evidence I can give you. Underground parking lot. Ooh, I got a thing. February 24, Prosecutor's Office, underground parking lot. Excuse me. Hi! Would either of you care for a quarter-pound of roast beef? Miss Starr, I guess she's out of lunches. You certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk. Okay, that's... Actually, yeah! That's actually a perfect fit. That's actually kind of interesting. If you think about it, everybody had to do something at least once to figure out, hey, this is edible. So yeah, somebody eventually had to figure out that cows give milk by sucking on its udder. Somebody eventually did figure that out, and it was yeah, pretty much everybody discovered things by trial and error and realized, hey, this thing doesn't kill us. Let's eat it. Let's eat it for sustenance. Yeah, it took a lot of trial and error to figure things out. It's just a strange thing to me. I just notice things when we're grocery shopping or stuff like that, and I'm like, you know, at one point somebody had to figure out that this was edible, and it's just one of those interesting things. Still, I never thought you'd go digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in the SL9 incident. Not only that, but the murder occurred on the very day the evidence from the case was due for transferal. This can't be all contributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know that little scene I happened to witness? The instant Lance stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when eaten. Miss Starr's hatred toward Lena. It all dates back to 2 years ago. Let's have a chat. The Dark Investigations. Joe Dark. That's the name I'll not soon forget. We trailed him for half a year. Oh, the pressure. Still, I don't think I was ever more alive than then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Jake Marshall, though, must have been going through hell. You mean because of his brother's death? They were close, those two. After Neil died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Her? Lena Skye. My sister. The best of the best were put on that SL9 case. Of course they were led by that legendary duo. Lena and Chief Gant. Yeah, Chief Gant is pretty central. We don't know much about him. We know he's the chief of police now, and we know he worked on that case, but other than that, we know nothing. After the case closed, that legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigation. That's why we were so shocked on how it turned out. You mean, with the forging of evidence? Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it's obvious that the evidence produced in court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly appear, while other items were kept secret. But it didn't have proof anything illegal was done. I'm proof enough of what happened. Yeah, because you were fired for that. After that case, all of us save Goodman were relieved of our duties. Most without even so much as an explanation. You were one of them. Then last guy transferred over to the prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor. I see, so you lost your job while she became the prosecutor, and that didn't add up for you. Later, I always wanted to be a prosecutor. Nothing's quite as simple as it appears. Huh? This guy was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter. She was being used? Okay. Legendary 2. Damon Gant and Lena Skye. Gant led the investigation while Lena was second in command. They were the best. They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they? Damon Gant's magnetism in particular was almost unreal. His magnetism? By that I mean his ability to attract evidence. He produced the most incredible evidence in the cases he handled. Incredible evidence? You mean... Oh yes, there were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him though. I take it she's talking about forged evidence. Back then, everyone looked up to Lena. All the detectives wanted to be like her. Really? Oh yes, myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated everything crooked and always watched out for the other detectives. Okay, that's why she was so concerned for Jake. But Mr. Marshall... When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as if she had lost her own brother. It wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would ever have recovered from his shock. That what makes it all the more infuriating. Miss Starr. That's why I'll never be able to forgive her. Why did she have to turn so cold after that? Being used. Lena transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, didn't she? Yeah, she did. Didn't she? Yes, thanks to Chief Gant's powerful influence. Chief? That's right. Having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief was secured. There was only one thing left for him to control. And then no one could stand in his way. The prosecutor's office. Ah. What? You mean that's why Lena was transferred? Okay, so he put her in charge on purpose to take over the prosecutor's office. Okay, this guy's a little bit interesting. If he could control the chief prosecutor, he can control the prosecutor's office. That's fair. That must have been his goal all along. But how can he control Lena? I don't know, but one thing's for sure. Ever since that case evidence, she's never been the same. That's interesting. That is an interesting note. She was put in she changed after becoming chief prosecutor. That's a little interesting. It's only logical to conclude there must have been a reason for her change. At last. I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. Thank you, Miss Starr. You listen to me, rookie. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. I hope you turn out to be a better chef than I've been. Okay. I can move to the prosecutor's office, police department now. Move. Criminal Affairs Department. Okay, Gumshoe was in here. Number 24 Police Station, Criminal Affairs Department. Oh, you're back! You're still here? I gotta make 150 copies of these files. Brewing coffee, copping files. I'm turning into a regular DJ. You're a DJ as well? If I'm not mistaken, I think he means desk jockey. Oh, that's DJ. Okay. I gotta admire your persistency, but my answer's still no. I'm not letting you into the chief's office, period. It'll be my neck on the line. That office is the last crime scene in the SL9 incident. I have to take a look in there. There's gotta be something we can do to make the detective change his mind. Presents? Hey, that's it. That's the King of Prosecutors Award that Mr. Edgeworth got the other day. Were you at the award ceremony, Detective Gumshoe? Of course, pal. I got an award for diligence myself. Ah, congratulations. Say, this design's based on an old Chinese parable, right? Yeah, everyone knows that. There was this, dragon. Yeah, that's it. A dragon. He had a thing for shields, see? That's not exactly the version we heard. No, but this one sounds more exciting. Anyway, it gets kind of gory after that. I'll spare you the details. Huh. What do I talk to him about? There's got to be something I can use to prove that he's... I don't have much in the way of evidence. Hmm. There's got to be something I can prove. How about this? Well, okay, that's not it, but that is a piece of thing that I can do. What about this? Okay, that didn't work. What if I point out that the Blue Badger has a thing? This guy almost made us lose the case today. What are you talking about? He was guarding the bloodstain on that evidence locker with his life. That's more than you can say about most officers nowadays. It would have saved us a lot of trouble if he hadn't guarded it so well. I'll have to admit, he's right though. Thanks to the Blue Badger, we were able to prove another possibility today. The possibility that another murder took place prior to 5:15 p.m. Well, what do I do here? I've talked to everybody, I think. That doesn't work. I need something to present to him. What do I present to him? There's got to be something that'll prove. There's got to be something I can do to get. The locker can be opened with a fingerprint match. Besides, there's no reason for the murderer to touch his own locker. Hey, wasn't your locker the one with the blood on it, Detective? The handprint of the real murderer's gloved hand, without any fingerprints. Shh! If they come to arrest me, you defend me, won't you? If that happens, I think you'll do better pleading with Edgeworth. There's gotta be something else. There's gotta be something else. I don't know what else. If I move to the detention center, is there something in the detention center? No. I think I saw it. This is hey, so I did. Chief Gant also gave this to you that day, didn't he? He asked you to bring it here from the police department. The chief is a very competent man, but sometimes he does things that don't make any sense. At least it's better than being incompetent and doing things that don't make sense. A certain detective comes to mind. I wonder. I can't present the screwdriver, can I? No. What would I need to present? This ID card belongs to the victim, Detective Bruce Goodman. He can do just about anything these days with a card's secret number. Scary. It's only scary because you keep dropping your card, Detective Gumshoe. I forget my secret number a lot, and too, I'm scared of myself. But I'm me after all, and what could be wrong with that? I think I'll stay out of this conversation. Huh. I'll make sure. Okay. What would be insurance process to do something? I have evidence. It's just a matter of figuring out which evidence he wants. So I'm just gonna go down the list here and see if something changes. Nothing seems to be working. That's a photo Miss Star that took. Anything you can tell us about it? That Miss Star is quite the lady. Why, I remember it was winter. I was 16. She was the only one who ever got me to talk about what happened. 16. That's how old I am now. I wonder what happened. I wonder if Detective Gumshoe wore a trench coat in high school, too. Hey, I just bought some of that stuff. Now I can go around detecting blood traces, too. Wow, is that a new type? I've never seen that ball before. Add 3 inches to your base height. Base height? Hey, let me see that. Looming tall. New and improved growth formula. You mean this can't detect any blood traces? Oh, well, it's not quite the same thing as luminol. So that's why the lady at this counter had that smirk on her face. Wait. I thought of something. Achoo! Oh, did we do something? It didn't help. One time I took a nap on a bench with wet paint. Why am I not? Okay, that didn't help. I can swap to... Can I swap to... I don't think I can swap to people. Not from this mode. Well, I've showed him everything. Can I present? I don't think I can present profiles now. Don't know. That must be Chief Detective. He's staring at the screen so I might shatter. What dark case may have been fabricated? That's what I thought all along. I just never bothered to tell anyone. Now there's a guy who cares about his work. Okay, so I looked it up. Apparently I'm supposed to examine Edgeworth's desk. Work desk is quite tidy as one might expect. What a nice desk. Easy to use and easy on the eyes. It's polished so high I can see my own reflection. Strange? Why did I just... Okay. Maybe I'll take that name plaque as a souvenir. Don't. He'll sue you. What's under the table? I wonder what he was writing before. Come on, Mr. Wright. Let's take a look. Are you crazy? Edgeworth is staying right there. Just distract him. I'll check it out. Hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumshoe out the window there? Oh no, he's falling to the ground. Hold on. First, let me see what this girl's doing crawling around my feet. He didn't even look. What? Letter of... If you're having trouble reading, I'll read it for you. It says letter of resignation. You're resigning? Why? Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean... I'm tired, Wright? I feel as if something inside me has died. But Mr. Edgeworth, none of this is your fault. I know the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been just a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one else should forgive me either. Uh-oh. I think he's serious. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. This letter of resignation. I wonder if I can use it for anything. Okay. Alright, well now we have what we need to actually move on. And I'm going to pause my camera for a second because it is getting full. Okay, so now we got what we need to actually move on with the rest of the story. So we can move now. So Edgeworth is resigning because of what happened. That is not good. Police department entrance, move, criminal affairs, presents. Edgeworth discard letter of resignation. He's serious. Due to recent events, I hereby announce my resignation as public prosecutor. He really wrote his resignation letter. Wow. Even when he's resigning, Mr. Edgeworth is cool and concise. Still, it wasn't his fault. No, it was not. Someone has to be held responsible. That's how it is in the grown-up world. Yeah, but that responsibility means nothing if he just quits. Well, not everyone sees it that way. To truly take responsibility, you should have to work in the rest of your life for no pay. That's one tough grown-up world there. Okay. But now I can actually present this. What's this crumpled up piece of paper? No way! Mr. Edgeworth can't be serious. Is he ever not serious? I can't believe they pushed him like this far. Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible. When I first met him, I thought he was as cold as ice, too. But I know different now. He trusted us detectives to provide him with sound evidence. But we betrayed him. Detective. That's it. I've made up my mind. But, here, take my ID card. We can't do that. If someone found out, they wouldn't let you off the hook with another lost item report. Look at me. It's no secret I'm already out of the loop. After all, I'm friends with Mr. Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as terminated. What? So at least let me do this. For Mr. Edgeworth's sake. Alright, detective? Thank you. Okay, Gumshoe's ID. Now we can get into the prosecutor's office. That's important. Chief's office. Yeah, now we can get in. Alright, February 24 Police Department, Chief's office. Okay, there's evidence in here. Here goes, Mr. Wright. Click. Beep. Okay. We're in. If anyone finds us now, Detective Gumshoe's a goner. If that happens, I'm counting on you to bail me out. Eek! Ah! Sorry, I thought you were a ghost. I didn't even know you could slap a ghost. Ah! Detective Gumshoe! What are you doing sneaking up on us like that? Ah, I wasn't sneaking. I was just worried something might go wrong. So I came to. If you're here, then what's the point of giving us your ID card? It's just the ID crushed and rendered unusable in pocket. Hey, don't do that to my card. Okay, that was funny. I hardly ever get a chance to come in here, so I figured I'd have a look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now. Fair enough. You really do want to get fired, don't you? Not if we're lucky. Now come on, let's see what we can find out. I've got a bad feeling about this. Alright. The chief's office. The desk on the other side of that room. Was that your sister's? Yes, that's where I was waiting for Lena. On the day 2 years ago. Is anyone using it now? No, sir. This is entirely Chief Gant's office now. He practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to always be alert. He told us so himself at our New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the time. Okay, fair enough. I see. So, ever since Lena left, no one ever touches that desk? No one except Chief Gant and the cleaning lady who's in here every morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. There can't possibly be any clues remaining. What about Chief Gant? Can I ask you something? Sure. You only came here to look around, right? Because it's one of the SL9 crime scenes? I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Why do you ask? You don't think... Nah. You wouldn't be. No. No, there's no way. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay, now then. Let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on. Not so fast, buddy. Huh? What is it? When someone tells you don't worry about it, it's supposed to start bothering you, pal. You don't just let go of that. Sorry. This guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, what's bothering you? You two don't think Chief Gant might be a suspect, do you? Well, he was involved in the murder, or at the very least, he was involved in part of the murder. Joe Dark did escape under his watch. He's been preserving the crime scene for the past 2 years, and he was in charge of the entire investigation. And also, he's apparently manipulating Lena to do what he wants. Yeah, that all checks out. What? He's right, Mr. Wright. What do we think of that? Chief Gant. So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings. Yet. There you go, ignoring me again. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just contemplating to myself. Alright. This was taken on that day 2 years ago. The day Joe Dark ran out of the questioning room and tried to kill Emma. Huh. But where was that taken? After receiving his award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture here. Then went along with Chief Gant to question Dark. I bet he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. Gee, you think? Okay. These shelves are mostly empty. Lena must have cleaned them out when she transferred over to the prosecutor's office. There's a small picture frame on the left shelf. Hey! This is when Lena and I went to that theme park. Oh, that's sad. She left it behind? That's just mean. This was Lena's desk. It sure is tidy. Lena's always been a meticulous cleaner. There's not even any dust on it. Looks like someone's still keeping it clean. Does Lena even come back here? No. Chief Gant must still keep it clean in memory of their partnership. They were the stuff of legends are made of. Does he keep it in his memory of her or the memory of the crime? What about the chief's desk? What about this? This is the real deal, isn't it? The armor and these weapons? Sure is, pal. The chief doesn't care for imitations. First with the pipe organ, now this armor. Do you know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone into this room? What? You mean we're paying for this? That's it. I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes. You kind of have no choice. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah, okay, and also she doesn't have any taxes to pay, apparently. Shh, be careful what you say. Who knows? The chief may be hiding in this armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out. Cut it out, you guys don't know how scary that guy could be. Okay, let's keep investigating. Let's keep it... What's over here? This is safe, isn't it? Safe. That word is ripe with intrigue. Okay, if you say so. It looks like a code needs to be entered into the panel to open it. A 7-digit number. I think I just might know what it is. Input the number. Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. Oh, I know. You want to try my birthday. It's... I have a better idea. Here goes nothing. Okay. Let me guess. There we go! Code confirmed. Access granted. Bingo. What number did you enter? Whose birthday was it, pal? All 7s. The final ID card number on that record. What? The number of the mysterious executive officer who entered the room that day. You mean... 777777777? That ID number? I think you're 1 7 shy this time. That can only mean one thing. That's Chief Gant's ID number. Say, anyone care to look inside? Examine? What's inside? Is there any money in there? How much do you have stashed away? Look, it's It's the last piece, a shard from the broken cup. This somehow looks familiar. Where have I seen this before? There's something else in here, too. Oh! What's this? It looks like a piece of leather cloth. With a handprint on it? Ooh, eerie! Weird! This is a handprint, isn't it? Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. You think the chief made up the design? I don't think so. Oh, well, it was just a thought. Is that it? That's all that was in the safe? Apparently so. It's empty now. A piece of cloth with a handprint on it. And a broken shard of cup from a cup. They look like pieces of evidence. Yeah, but unless you can prove they have something to do with this case, I'm afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here. Great, now I have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to this SL9 incident? Come on, there's got to be something we can show the detective. Court record. I think I know exactly what it is. Check. Hey, look! They're hard to make out, but there are some dark red stains here. Looks like blood. Do you think Detective Goodman's blood somehow got on this when he was stabbed? Not likely. This blood looks like it's been here for months, maybe longer. This shard was evidence in the SL9 incident. That might be where the blood got into it. Let's present this. Detective Gumshoe, could you have another look at this jar? I remember when the three of us put that back together. Oh, those were the days. It's kind of early to be nostalgic. Wasn't this jar a piece of evidence from that case? That's right. One of the shards has an SL9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? Do you know that fragment we just found? You mean this one? That was in the safe? Yes, that one. That was in the safe. Bingo! Now that you mention it, it's ringing a lot of bells. Let's see if it fits. Assemble the fragments! Here, let me see that shard. I'll take the crack at it. Go ahead, pal. Show us what the rookie can do. Mr. Wright, here's got some glue. Alright, if I can piece this together again, it'll prove Chief Gant was knowingly hiding evidence. Here goes. Okay. And there we go. There. It fits like a charm. That, of course, means Chief Gant willingly and knowingly hid a piece of this jar in his safe. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence from the SL9 incident. But, hey guys, get a load of this. What is it? This piece you just attached. It's different from the others. There's a reddish line on it. A reddish line. That's blood. I don't get it. Why would Chief Gant hide this in his safe? Huh. Examine? Hey, look here. It's hard to make out, but there's a dark red stain here. Looks like blood. This piece of the Chief is different, though. The blood stains on the finger on the other pieces are just spots, but this one's a line. That's odd. If I'm fired, I won't be able to give you information, so that's why I get it all on my system now. Okay. Got to stay positive. Okay. Let's see, there's gotta be more evidence. Can I talk to him? No. What about here? Wow, look at the size of Chief Gant's desk. Speaking of that, when we were here earlier... Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant! He put that paper he was reading on his desk. I wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence. A list of evidence. In most cases, the list runs twice as long as this, though. Hey, look at the case name. Huh. SL9 incident. I wonder what that's doing in here. Hold on, detective. What did you just say? I said, I wonder what... No, about evidence lists? Normally they're twice as long? That's right. I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. A half-size list of evidence. The list of evidence. It seems too short. More lists run twice as long. Okay, so there's a connection there as well. What would the other half of the list be doing here? I knew it. The chief must be hiding something about that case. It would appear so. List of evidence in SL9 was ripped in half, so this part's all I got. Huh. Okay, we found this inside the drawer. A list of evidence from the SL9 incident. Mr. Edgeworth had the other half of that list. What would this list be doing here? We'd better look a little more into this list. Okay. That's interesting. Check? It is a list of... Oh! What the hell? There's a picture on the back. I wonder what this is. It looks like someone drew some kind of sketch here. What is this? Did you find something? I can't make it out. I'd better keep quiet about it for now. Huh? Oh, no, it's nothing. What are your eyes moving about like that, Mr. Wright? I better not forget about this picture. That's suspicious as hell. Wait a minute. Was that the picture that, Emma said she drew? The Chief's organ sure is a sight to behold. Occasionally we hear him playing it from the Criminal Affairs Department. That's on the 2nd floor, and this is the 15th floor of an entirely different building. When a detective screws up, the Chief calls him to his office. And makes him listen to the organ for hours. What's so bad about that? Music soothes the soul. After that, the detectives can't hear anything for days except for the ringing in their ears. So it's an instrument of punishment, literally. But aren't the Chief's ears affected? He never listens to anyone anyway. That's beside the point. Fair enough. Huh. I wonder, can I present this to him? Can I present the other half of this? That's what the Chief was reading before, isn't it? You know, when we first came in here, yeah, it looked like the right side of the form's been torn off. So Mr. Edgeworth's list really was only half the whole thing. Something else is bugging me more than that. Take a look at the back of that form, pal. The back? I've already seen the back. I wonder what this is. What is it? Did you find something? That's unusual. This is taken on that day 2 years ago. The day Joe Jack ran out of the questioning room and tried to kill Emma. After receiving his award... Okay. Alright, what do I do? What do I do? Look at that giant window. Makes you want to crash through it and jump outside. This is the 15th floor. I know, I was just saying. Saying what? Ever since making detective, I've always dreamed about doing something like that. Note to self, Detective Gumshoe has a lot of dreams. So long as he doesn't go crashing through that window. When he gets fired. Don't say that. You can see pretty far from the 15 stories up. If you were to drop that suit of armor from here... At first, the chief wanted to use stained glass for this window. Okay, so very church-like then. Really? Why didn't he? They said he changed his mind because he wouldn't be able to see the view. Oh. Stained glass or not, it's a huge window. Court record. Can I still present some stuff? There's gotta be something that I'm missing here. Present? I felt a lot better now that the store's complete. But it only raises another question. What was a piece of it doing in the chief's safe? More importantly, why wasn't there any money in there? Isn't that what the safes are for anyway? I have a feeling the outcome of tomorrow's trial just might hinge on this. Well, I think we've gotten everything we can get. Or not. Okay. Well, now we need to prove... Now we need to prove that the other thing was a thing. Can't believe officer... Okay. I don't know. I need to look it up again, don't I? I got my phone somewhere. Yeah, it's right here. I need to look it up again. So I've been recording for about 2 hours now. I didn't realize that. But why are you... Okay. Okay, I need to present the fingerprint set. I should have figured that since it was a handprint, but still. This is the Gumshoe. I'd like you to have a look at this. Hey, I know what that is. So, you want to take some fingerprints? That's a great idea, detective. Alright, go to town, sheesh. What are you doing? Why aren't you sticking out your hand? Why are you sticking out your hand like that? Go ahead, take my fingerprints. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Huh? Come on, this isn't the time for jokes. We're talking about the cloth we found in the safe. Oh, heh. I knew that. That one with the handprint on, right? Sheesh, what are your sense of humor? Okay, let's determine. Okay, Mr. Wright, let's check for prints. Sprinkle the powder on the cloth. Then, once they've been absorbed into the prints, blow the rest away. What are you, my mom? I don't have to be told a million times. Alright, let's get this over with. Okay. Okay, so I need to do them all individually. That doesn't fill me with a whole lot of confidence. I need to be thorough because I know there's a big... It's a very big. I know fingerprints can have a tendency to be very big. And that should do her. That's a nice liberal coating. There we go. I gave it my best shot. That kind of result won't be good for matching prints, will it? But it doesn't look like we'll get a clear result from this print. Okay, let's try a different finger then. Okay, that one doesn't work anymore. Okay, so I was a little too liberal with the paste. Paint it, paint it. Blow. That's a much better print. Okay, there we go. That's a much more usable print. It's... okay? It's Emma. It's Emma's print. Match found. No. How could this be? What are Emma's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints were they? Huh? Oh, it seems the prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. Oh, that's too bad. I thought they'd be Dutch prints. Psst. Hey, you. Over here. What's going on here? What are the kids' prints doing inside the chief's safe? Don't ask me. Let's just keep this information from Emma for now. Here. Maybe you should hold on to this. Okay. Piece of cloth. Found in the chief's skin safe. Evidence of something, but what? Bears Emma's guy's prints. Well, was I of any help? Of course. Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. Now, that's not very kind, is it? Oh god, he's here, isn't he? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he wouldn't have been useless. He would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? Eek! Chief Gant! We didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. As I was walking to my meeting, I happened to look out a window and saw a stray dog run right into a pole. Just then I thought of a certain detective. Do you mean me, sir? Now then. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir. Sorry. Oh, you in the coat. Me, sir. Drop off your ID card on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. But, sir. Now get out. Yes, sir. We'll be on our way too, then. Wait, you, the one without the spiky hair. Don't go yet. But me, sir. I'd like a word with you. But, sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky hair, you're free to go. Mr. Wright? Uh-oh. Look, pal. If I told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. The chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? I thought you said you didn't care anymore if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew it'd be like this. I never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gant was hiding in his office, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. But why has he kept eerily silent about it all this time? Anyway, you listening to me, pal? I'm gonna try and smooth things over with the chief again. Later, pal. Bye, Gumshoe. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her some questions. So she'll be busy for the rest of the day. Uh-oh. February 24th, the Johnson Center Visitors Room. I see. So the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in the court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple of days is absolutely nothing. Not a single useful thing. Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning? I said that I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. You know, I think I finally figured it out. I know who it is that's lurking behind your words. Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. Okay, you knew Mia. It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth. Once you're convinced you know something, no one can persuade you the otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Yeah. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. Talk to me! Keeping quiet. I have to admit I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not you that's unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so because of a certain individual. What an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say? So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No, I think afraid of is more like it. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you to silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, who may I ask is the person you're speaking of? The one I am supposedly so frightened of? What is this person's name? Gant. Well, Miss Guy? Mr. Wright, you are addressing the chief prosecutor. Do not forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about what you think you know? Damon Gant. We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he is as respectable, then tell me something. Why would he try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both you and Edgeworth will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically, hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offenses. Why is it, though, that Chief Gant's name was never mentioned? Chief Gant? Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have possibly tampered with the evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, but also another, Damon Gant. That is interesting, though. Why was Gant's name never brought up? I mean, if you intended to choose Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gant falsified evidence in the case. I think I can provide that. I just found this in a safe in the chief's office. This jar piece, and this piece of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gant himself. Yeah, it doesn't look very good for him, does it? Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmised. I cannot disobey the chief's orders, even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate. In the murder of Detective Goodman? Or perhaps I should say, follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. Orders. Although I can't tell you the details. I can say that I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body. Okay. So, Bruce Goodman was murdered by Gant, I think. You'll find it inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car. That's why she was at the car that day, just as I suspected. Despite what everyone believes. You were not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk's lock was broken. And I discovered the murder weapon while inspecting the body. The murder weapon? You mean Edward's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 incident. Serial killer Joe Talk's knife. Okay, so somebody used the old knife to stab him instead. I couldn't just leave that knife in him. So I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. That would be Edward's knife. That's right. Okay, so that would explain the instance with Angel Star. She thought she saw a murder, but in actuality it was just Lena Skya falsifying evidence to make it look like she murdered him. Okay. That makes a bit more sense now. There was never a murder at the prosecution office. There was never a murder there. It was always in the evidence room. Lena just kind of faked, quote-unquote, faked a murder at the prosecution office. I mean, that's still bad, but a lot worse than actually killing the guy. It's, well, better, but it's a lot better than actually killing him. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. And that's why you had a cut on your hand. Yeah, pretty much. Yes, it seems I got blood on the victim's shoe as well. And then she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Okay, so he was already dead, but witness accounts make it look like you actually killed the guy when you did it. Miss Starr, huh? So now we have all the truth. She never killed anybody. Why'd you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? Dark's knife. It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't even ever want it to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that, by whatever means possible. So, you hid Dark's knife. The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have a field day with that. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it. In Edgeworth's exhaust pipe. Right. Then I called my sister. To tell her what happened, and to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident. Yeah, Emma did, because Lena didn't actually do anything. She stabbed a corpse. That's, technically speaking, that's not exactly illegal. It's maybe a more a gray area-ish, but it's definitely not illegal. About Lena's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, the first thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. To Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept in, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade of his own. Oh, you mean... Not wanting the case to die, he decided to take things into his own hands. So he disguised himself and stuck in. Yeah, he disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. Yeah, we knew that. He had already stolen the ID card, but it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room? Yeah, so now it's all coming together. Which means now their only question is, what does Chief Gant have to do with it? I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lena, you've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lena's demons. I've got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago? Okay, so that's the only mystery left. Okay, that's the end of the chapter. Okay, now we've got the big part. We've got the final day of trial, and I know for a fact that it's split into 3 parts. I remember that part. It's split into 3 separate parts, and that's going to be interesting. Alright, well, that took a lot out of me. It took almost 2 hours to actually get through to this point. I have a lot of editing I need to do tonight, mainly because I have 2 episodes that were a lot longer than they should be, and I need to edit them down. I need to edit this down, I need to edit another thing down, and yeah. You guys, I'm not gonna say what it is, because you guys probably already know if you watched the other video. So, in any case, I think I am going to leave this episode here, and we'll continue with this next time and finally put the Rise from the Ashes to rest, and then we can move on to the sequel of this game, which is also in the same game because it's a trilogy collection. So, I think I'm gonna leave this episode here, and we'll continue this next time. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks that I might be wasting. Thanks, so be sure to check this out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!